There's something to be said for affordable classics. Check this out. Hi, I'm Carolyn Evans-Hammond and welcome to my tasting room. Carolyn's tasting room is where you can taste exciting wines with me. And tonight, we taste affordable classics. They include the 2019 Castillo de Logrono Crianza from Rioja, Spain, the 2022 Yvon Saint-Emilion Grand Vin de Bordeaux from France, and the 2019 d'Arenberg the Stump GSM or Grenache Syrah Mourvedre from McLaren Vale, Australia. So let's taste. So the first wine in our flight is an exciting little find because it costs just shy of $15, but I think it's amazing because, it's a Roha Creanza, which means, it's a wine that had to have a little bit of age before it's released. This spent some time in bottle, 6 months in bottle before release, but it also spent some time in American and French oak. And that's why, now it's 2019 and it's still on shelf. That's why, because it had a lag time before release. And you're getting, therefore, I think you'll find a little bit more complexity in the wine, and still at $15, it's fantastic. That's the classicism we're looking at. So pour yourself a glass and take a look. We know going in that this is a blend of Tempranillo and Grenache. So notice the color. There's still some considerable depth of color. Color is really important for a wine because it tells you how mature it is. Looking at the rim, it's still sort of ruby. Purple ruby, no amber at all. Amber is going to tell you it's nearing the end of its life. This is not, which is great. Again, value, $15. Give it a swirl and let's have a sniff. Blackberry, do you get that? To me, Tempranillo is always blackberry. And then there's the hints, the feathery notes of red fruit from the Grenache. It keeps it juicy. And if you smell closely, there's layers too from the oak, the American and the French. So I'm getting Brazil nut, a wispy note maybe of coconut and vanilla from the American oak, some hazelnut, a little bit maybe of brown sugar or praline or something like that. We know this is a dry wine, but again, the oak influence is showing. And that complexity is wonderful to see at this price point. So let's have a sip and see how it's showing. Isn't that delicious? Beautiful balance. Nothing is standing out. No sharp acidity, no heat at the back of the palate, no tough tannins. Everything hangs together beautifully, making it really a pleasure to drink. It smooths in, there's some plushness, but it's not too plush. There's a little bit of grip, and there's even length. Do you notice that? I'm getting a lot of earthiness too on the finish, which is very old world. It's very Rioja, so that earthy underpinning coming through on the finish, leaving the palate seasoned with a little bit, it's almost like a dried earth rather than a moist black earth. And I like that because it's almost like a white peppery note too. Fantastic for food pairing, easy at the table. So let's have another sip. The fruit is beautiful. It's a little bit muted as opposed to fruit forward. But the articulation of the flavors are beautiful. They're punchy. So you're getting the blackberry, yes. A hint of strawberry, maybe red currant, a little bit of raspberry, and underneath that some saline notes, and then the white pepper. Fantastic. And the second wine in our flight is from France, but it too is a classic. It's Bordeaux, but it's from the right bank. So because it's from the right bank and it's Saint-Emilion, which is a region on the right bank that this is from, the blend is based on Merlot. So it's 90% Merlot with 5% each of Cabernet Franc for finesse and 5% Cabernet Sauvignon for a little bit more structure. So pour yourself a glass and let's taste. First in the glass, you notice the depth of color, which is great. It suggests concentration, which is really important because, you know, you want some concentration. A lot of people think Merlot doesn't have that or can't have that plushness and that sort of hedonistic characteristic that's so exciting about Cabernet Sauvignon, but it can, and the right bank of Bordeaux proves that. So there's the depth of color, which suggests the concentration we're looking for. Give it a swirl and let's have a nose. Isn't that great? I love this. It's, you know, for me, Merlot is always dark chocolate and cherries, and I'm getting that absolutely. Are you? Sort of like sweet black cherries dunked in dark chocolate. And then there's a layering in of cassis, the blackcurrant liqueur I always associate with Cabernet Sauvignon. Beautiful. Now there is no wood used at all in the making of this wine. It's completely unoaked, and so all we're getting is fruit purity. And I think I'm absolutely there. It's not though forward. It's not too, it doesn't smell like alcoholic fruit juice like you might get from more of a New World expression of Merlot. This is still earthy, old world. You get that? I love that. So let's have a taste. You're probably thirsty. Isn't that great? The textural component is fantastic. It sweeps in easily, but there's a plushness here, a depth, a structure that is really, really food friendly. There's more structure than you might have anticipated it to be had you known the blend, and that structure holds the fruit in place on the finish and makes it great at the table. This is the kind of wine that's fantastic with fettuccine with a mushroom sauce or with cassoulet, that French dish. But there's lots going on here. On the palate, the dark chocolate is there, but there's an absolute bitter chocolate note too, which I find incredibly fetching, and a powdery note of sort of dried cocoa, which I like too. There's also a little bit of cream, a little bit of blackcurrant, but fresh blackcurrant, a hint of raspberry, like really fresh, ripe raspberry, and on the finish, that dried earth. I love this wine and I hope you do too. And the third wine in our flight is a classic blend from Australia. Now this is a GSM or a Grenache Syrah Mourvedre blend, which is a classic blend that comes from the Rhone initially, Rhone in France, but it's also created in other parts of the world, including McLaren Vale, which is where this where this wine comes from. Now I really like this wine because I find it to be very savory, and I find it hangs together beautifully. But I won't lead the witness too much. Pour yourself a glass and let's have a sniff. Give it a swirl. Do you notice just how much is going on? This is what I love about it. So yes, you're getting earthiness from the Mourvedre. The Mourvedre is always a sort of black turned earth nose for me. But you're also getting grilled meat. Do you get that? Like you're at the barbecue grilling a steak or something. The meaty notes are coming from the Syrah, and those grilled marks, those grilled notes are probably coming from the oak treatment. They spent some time with oak. And the Grenache is there for juiciness. So there's some red fruit juiciness going on. Lots going on. All of that will be reflected on the palate. But let's just first have a sip and let's experience the wine. We do know it's full-bodied, 14.5% alcohol. If you glance at the label, the best way to tell a body of a wine, how full it is in the mouth or on the palate, is by glancing at the alcohol level. And 14.5% is, it's full-bodied. So have a sip and let's experience it. Isn't that great? Floods in, juicy and lifted and quenching and drinkable, and yet still weighty and still complex, and lots going on, layers that start to unfurl and linger on the palate. Lots going on great value because this is only about $16. I think it's just shy of $16 a bottle, which is great value. The one other thing I'd like to point out about this wine and the other two we tasted are that they're all bone dry. And that's important because a bone dry wine is what you want when you're serving it with food. And classics will go best with food. The reason is sugar can tire the palate. You know, glass after glass, your palate can sort of get a little bit tired and so you won't taste quite as well. And it's also not as refreshing. This wine and the others being bone dry ensures that the wines, you know, are great at the table and stay refreshing. So important when you're drinking a wine. So have another sip and let's think about what to pair with it. Barbecue. This is the perfect barbecue wine. So there you have it. Some smart, affordable classics in a range of styles. Which one did you like best? Let me know. Hit me up on social and don't forget to like and subscribe because I'm coming right back with another flight of delicious wines or drinks here on Carolyn's Tasting Room so you can drink better and learn how.